On your whiteboard, show me what Ash's study looks like. Good, it's a line test. Good. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is it called when you succumb to authority? What is it called when you succumb to authority? No. Good, I wanted you to make that mistake. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to cover. Good. A lot of you got it wrong, and that's what I wanted you to do. So let's look at it real quickly. I have a lot to do, and I haven't gotten to nearly any of it today. Thank you very much. All right, so compliance is the changing of one's behavior as a result of other people. When you comply with something, you comply with it because you feel social pressure to do so, okay? Compliance isn't someone telling you what to do. Kat, put both hands up. Perfect. Thank you. You can put them down. Okay? Did she do that because she wanted to do it? Did she do it because of social pressure to do it? No. Okay. Now, Kat, have you ever done this? You wait for it to come around, and then you go, woo! Have you ever done it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. That's a girl who looks like she's done the wave before. Did you do that because you wanted to do it, or did you do it because you had to do it?
I think it was more of a choice.
Oh my God. Did someone put a gun to your head and said you have to do the wave when it comes around? No. That's compliance. Okay? Compliance is she's doing it because everyone else in the stadium is literally watching people across the stadium raise their hands and they want to be a part of it. That's compliance. Kat, put your hands up. That's obedience. Okay? Kat only put her hands up right there because I told her, just put it in the top. I got things to do. You got things to do. It's fine. Okay? She is doing it because I specifically told her to do it. Kat is only raising her hand because I told her to do it. When you give in to an authority figure, okay, you are being obedient. The difference between obedience and compliance is the authority figure. With compliance, you do it because of social pressure. Every single one of you put on clothes today to come to school. Thank God. Okay? You didn't get up this morning and be like, man, I wish I could go naked, but that damn Miss Bennett, she's making me put clothes on, correct? That was not your train of thought. You put clothes on today because of social pressure to do so, and not because of one person. You put clothes on today because of compliance. You are sitting in class and not being tardy like my girl Hannah over here came to class on time with even extra time to waste, okay, because of obedience, because I called my girl out yesterday, okay? That's why she's here. Do we see the difference between the two? All right, so the big experiment that shows us obedience is a guy named Milgram. Now, this is a big cornerstone of psychology and will be on your AP exam without a doubt. Stanley Milgram is the son of Jewish refugees who came here during World War II to escape the Holocaust. Okay, he came here when he was like 9 or 10, came to school here, went and studied psychology. Hey, Dibs. Okay, then he wanted to test why people, normal, average German citizens, would do what they did. So he tests that theory with obedience. Yes.
Is that where they think that they're shocking people?
Yes, that is.
Oh, it's so sad.
All right, so here we go. So, when you are watching this experiment, this is one thing that you need to know the names, you need to know how it's set up, how it works, you need to understand what the implication is and what's the big picture. Just like all the other big experiments. Everyone's good? Hello? All right, here we go. This is from a British TV show. Here in the United States, you're not allowed to replicate it. Britain has a little more. Every country gets to make the decision of their ethical guidelines of what can and cannot be replicated. England was apparently okay with it. England also didn't go as extreme as the original experiment did, but it does mirror it pretty well. This was done in like 2009, 2010, so it's pretty good. It's a British TV show. So the first couple of minutes are weird, yes.
Why can't replicate it if they'll actually shock you?
Because mental stress. You'll see.
In fact, there are 9 subjects left. I can only use 4 for the heist. So
away,
a week
Michael.
after the seminar, I arranged to test the limits of their responsiveness to authority. So, a week ago, I arranged for them to take part in what they now think is a piece of unfilmed academic research at the university, and nothing to do with the show, supposedly looking into the effects of punishment on learning. And they believe now that this is part of their growth. In fact, it was a reenactment of a powerful experiment conducted by Stanley Milgram in 1963 to look at how normal people can commit atrocious acts simply because they're following orders. Milgram's parents were Jewish refugees in World War II, and his pioneering work speaks volumes about the nature of responsibility. It's being filmed with covert cameras.
Thank you.
They're introduced to an actor pretending to be another participant.
You didn't come from the same room?
No.
Yeah, we don't know each other.
No.
We don't actually know how punishment affects learning.
After a brief introduction, our subjects are tricked into thinking they've chosen their role as teachers in the experiment.
And if you could just tell me what your positions are?
No.
Learner and teacher.
No. Our subjects observe the learner being instructed by the scientist, who is just another actor.
This electrode is connected to a generator in the second room where we go with the teacher.
Okay.
Just make sure that we have a good contact with the skin so it doesn't cause any blistering or burning. Is that comfortable?
That's okay, yeah.
Yeah, and we just place these straps around your arms just to avoid any excess movement. Those aren't too tight.
No, that's okay.
No. The teacher will read out some word pairs to you. Blue girl.
The learner is told he's going to be asked a series of memory questions by the teacher. He will have to word pairs and then correctly remember them when offered multiple choices.
If the answer is incorrect, you will receive an electric shock.
The teacher is then taken next door and shown the generator, which ranges from 15 volts all the way up to a lethal 450 volts. The domestic electricity supply in the UK is, of course, 240 volts. Our teachers are given the list of questions and told to increase the voltage each time the learner gets a question wrong. They are then given an example of a low voltage shock.
And try and estimate in volts the amount of shock you're getting.
Okay. Oh, shit.
Do you know how much that was?
Enough.
75.
It was actually 45. Just
Oh my god.
teacher begin.
Shoe horn. Steam.
The point of this test is to see whether the teachers, our subjects, will call a stop to the experiment.
Okay, so what's the foundation of the experiment? How is it going to be all set up? How is the foundation of this experiment set up, people? This is a big one. You need to know it. Kat.
The learners are actually actors, and they get the teachers are supposed to give them the volts when they get the question wrong, but it's not actually real volts. But then the experimenter tells them to keep going even when the learners.
Oh, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Oh.
You little smart
I
pants.
thought you
No,
wanted
I want to know. So they come in. There's an actor who is playing the student, and then we have the actual person we're evaluating as a teacher. They are going to be in the front, and they're going to be the ones hitting all the way up to 450, which would kill you the moment it went through you, by the way. Okay? And on the machine, as you saw, it does clearly say dangerous, dangerous, highly dangerous, and death. Okay? So they know what they're doing.
Or continue to the point where they are administering seemingly lethal electric shocks to the victim simply because the scientist is telling them to.
That's correct. The next word is bicycle. The options tyre, race, helmet, shorts. That's incorrect, so there'll be 120 volts. I don't think I want to do this anymore.
If you could continue, please, teacher.
There is. No, I don't think I'm going to do anymore.
The experiment requires you to continue.
Yeah, even so, I don't think I'm going to do anymore. Correct.
According to plan, our accomplice provided many wrong answers. Each protest was coordinated to a particular shock voltage on the generator, and his responses were played via a CD.
That's wrong, 150 volts. The correct answer is Captain Shoe. Cup. That's wrong. 225 volts. He's in a lot of pain.
Continue, please.
That he's not comfortable.
We must continue to the end of the experiment. The learner likes it or not, he has to go on until he's learnt the words correctly.
Okay. Forest. That's wrong. 240 volts. Are you sure this is not causing any lasting damage? He sounds like he's in a lot of pain.
The shocks might be painful, they're not harmful.
What does that mean, though? They're not harmful. Sorry, I'm not getting you. When you say that they might be painful but not harmful,
They cause no long-term damage.
because does that mean that it doesn't leave any scars?
It causes no damage.
Okay, so when the kid asks the questions, what is the guy saying in return? Who can raise your hand and tell me? Milan? What is he saying? The guy in the white coat. Guy in the white coat. What is he saying every time the teacher opposes saying it? Has to keep going. The experiment requires you to continue. Please continue. Does that sound threatening in any way? When he asks follow-up questions, does the experimenter address it quickly and then say, please continue? When you use the words, please continue, is it overwhelmingly threatening? So when we're dealing with the experimenter, okay, the guy in the white coat is not forcing his will. He's just saying, the experiment requires you to continue, please continue. If he asks him a question that can't be answered that way, he answers it very directly and very quickly and asks him to please continue.
That seems very cold and calculated to me. This doesn't seem like a very... Anyway. Golden. That's wrong, mate. 300 volts. Staple. The options are diet, jar, balcony,
Is he
bowl.
enjoying this? No. Is he doing this because he wants to do this? Does he continue?
If the learner doesn't answer in a reasonable time, say 4 to 5 seconds, then you have to treat the answer as wrong and follow that procedure.
Did you hear that, learner? Just any response, mate. Come on. Wild guess.
Please continue.
345 volts. If you're still with me, I'm sorry. I can't do this, honestly. Can we stop this experiment? Because I can't do this. Listen,
If we don't continue, we'll have to discontinue the experiment.
Yeah, okay, fine. That's fine. I'm not going to do this.
Incorrect. 405 volts. Sorry, I don't know. Does someone want to check on him or something? It's just he's not making any noise now, and he was before. And I'm quite happy to go on, but I'm a bit worried about.
If you would continue.
Yeah, I'm just a bit worried because he was. Like, he was like complaining before about the.
But no harm will come to him.
But he's not making any noise now.
It's essential that we continue with the experiment.
Balcony. Incorrect. 450 volts. You promise he's not. It won't.
Please continue with the procedure.
Like, you said it hurts, but it's because it's like it's over a dangerous situation. You'll be all right. You know.
Please continue. Okay, I think we'll discontinue the experiment there.
All of the subjects were told the true nature of the experiment was to see how they would respond to authority, and that it would eventually form part of the show.
It is okay.
I can tell you, yeah, it's absolutely fine. You actually weren't administering electric shocks to him at all. He is.
In the original Milgram experiment, psychologists were asked to predict how many people would continue to the point that they were administering the highest shock on the board. Their prediction was 0.1%. They were wrong. The results of our experiment were almost identical to the original. Over 50% of participants continued up to 450 volts. The majority of people will administer lethal electric shocks just because a guy in a white coat is telling them to.
450 volts.
450 volts.
450 volts.
450.
So after the results of the Milgram experiment, I've now chosen my fourth.
So the impact is that we would easily, not easily, but we would kill someone because someone tells us to do it. Administering 450 volts, 50% of the population would go all the way to 450. Would there be some mental strain? Absolutely. However, would we do it? Yes. Now, the shocking thing is that when we think about the Holocaust and all that stuff, we wonder how the Germans could do it. How could they line people up and push them in towards the concentration camp, into the ovens, into all these terrible experiments without having the conscience? And it's because of obedience. Now, one of the craziest things that come out of this experiment is when you stop and you think about what that means. What that means is, if you told me that you were going to kill 20 of my closest friends and family, or I kill a guy that I've never met, never seen before, and have no idea if he has a family, I'm going to kill the rando. Does that make sense? I'm going to save 20 of my friends and family. That makes sense. You're threatening my family. I'm obviously going to respond to protect my family. Are those people being threatened in any way? No. The guy says, the experiment requires you to continue. Please continue. So 50% of the population would kill a human just because someone says, the experiment requires you to continue. Please continue. What terrible things could we do if we actually threaten the lives of the people around us? That is what concerns me. If you actually really push people and say, I will kill your family, I will do these different types of things to you and your family, how much terrible things can we as humans do to each other? That's the scary part, is it not? So when you look around and you see all these wonderful shining faces next to you, think about half of them would easily kill you. What? What? 50%?
I wouldn't kill you.
I wouldn't kill you either, Lee. But, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you think you would say no. How many of you in Nazi Germany would absolutely oppose what the Germans were doing? When if you opposed, they were going to murder you, your family, and completely destroy everything you have. Would you be able to oppose, even though you knew it was wrong? Would you? Would you be strong enough to do it? Most people weren't, hence why it was such a huge thing. And that's the scariness of obedience and authority figures. That's why when I hate when teachers abuse their power, or anyone abuses their power, because obedience is because people will not challenge authority figures, and authority figures can abuse their power very easily. True, not true? Okay, theoretically, I'm an authority figure. I know for a fact you people don't see me as one. But... you know, it's one of the big things. All right, social loafing, social facilitation we covered, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Attitude. You guys can get this stuff later. There's one question on your test about it. I'm not going to spend that much time. Is that okay with you? I am going to persuasion, though. So persuasion is the process by which one person tries to change the belief or opinion or position or course of action of another person through arguing, pleading, or explanation. Okay, so when you're trying to persuade someone to change their opinions, it is important to know that you cannot change people from extreme position. If you're a die-hard liberal, you're never going to convert a die-hard conservative into just toss in the box and enjoy the show, darling. Okay? Huh? Confederate is the person sitting on the desk. You should know that. Is like a person involved. Okay, so persuasion, you're never going to be able to pull extremes. You have to, you can always pull them towards a direction, but you're never going to have someone go from a liberal to a conservative because you persuaded them. Does that make sense? That's too much of an extreme, so it's not going to happen. So when we talk about persuasion, there's 3 different types. So elaboration likelihood model is a model of persuasion that people either elaborate on a persuasive message or fail to elaborate on it, and that will predict the future behavior. So the more you elaborate on something, the more likely you are to be believed. Makes sense. So if I tell my mom I'm going to go hang out with Malai tonight and sleep over, but I really go hang out with Mackenzie, okay? Now Mackenzie, my mom doesn't like. She thinks Mackenzie is a wild and crazy young lady, and she just thinks I am too impressionable to be hanging out with a wild woman like Mackenzie. So she likes Malai because Malai is a very self-respecting, elegant young lady. My girl over here gets crazy. Well, Malai's boring, so I don't want to hang out with her. I want to hang out with Mackenzie. So I tell my mom, I am staying at Malai's house, but I'm going to Mackenzie's house. The next morning I show up back at home. My mom's like, oh my God, how was Malai's house? It was fun. What did you do? Nothing. Is she going to believe me that I was there? Or am I going to be torn apart? I'm going to be torn apart. Okay? However, if I tell my mom, oh my God, at Malai's house for dinner last night, her mom made us like the best pizza. And then we had like chips and dips while we were watching. I love salsa and tortilla chips and salsa, by the way. Fun fact about Miss Bennett. Okay? We had chips and salsa during movie, and we watched this really terrible movie, but it was fine. And we went to bed around 12:30 because we wanted to wake up early and do our AP Psych homework together while her mom made us pancakes.
Sounds like a solid time.
Sounds like a great time. Sounds like a great time. But in fact, I was not with Malai. That was a lie. The more information that seems reasonable means the more likely I am to be believed. Okay? When we talk about elaboration likelihood model, it typically breaks down into 2 major categories. The first one is central route processing. Second is peripheral. Central route processing is when you focus on the issue at hand. So if I am talking about why I should be the next Florida State Senator, doing central route processing, I would say, hi, my name's Samantha Bennett. I should be the next Florida State Senator because I am a teacher. I understand what people need in the classroom. I know how to best spend money in order to ensure that our classrooms are improving because Florida is one of the is on the bottom half of the United States educational program. I understand what our students need because, frankly, they come in unprepared. I'm seeing real-life issues of what our actual citizens are struggling with, and I can come up with the tools to do it because, frankly, I'm a teacher. I have the resources and the ability to adjust quickly. I'm financially responsible, all this other crap. Sounds good, right? Straight to the point. I am arguing why I would be successful, correct? Am I on topic? Am I giving you credentials that help support my argument on why? Yes? Okay. Second thing is peripheral route processing. When I'm throwing out outside information in order to help bolster my cause. Okay? I should be the next Florida State Senator because, frankly, I don't think we have enough blonde senators in Washington. It would just be so great. First of all, my husband is really good looking. And he would look really great on my arm as the first man of Florida, even though this actually goes to the governor, and but that's fine. We'll pretend it's mine. I have an adorable dog named Toby, and Toby is just adored by everyone. And Toby would really like to be the senator's dog from the great state of Florida. Thank you so much, and I hope you like my glasses. Do you see how that was not on topic? Do you see how that actually had nothing to do with anything? But someone may be persuaded by that. Does that make any sense? There you go. So, that happens all the time. How many types of conversations did you hear? Now, one thing I will say about Hillary is that I was so tired of hearing about her child and an alliance thing that she did. Oh my God, every time she got on stage there was a microphone. Hello, my name's Hillary Clinton. I worked with the Child Alliance in the 1970s in Arkansas, and I did this, this, and this. She said the same 4 things every time she got on the microphone. True, not true? Okay, and I like Hillary. I like Hillary. And Central Road Processing every damn time. Hillary, give me something else. But she was always on her message. Hi, my name's Hillary Rodham Clinton. I was part of the child analyst or whatever it was. I've been in government for 30-something years. I've done all this stuff. Okay, then you have Trump. Trump is peripheral route processing. He does mention some actual real substance stuff. If you watched his, anyone here watch his press conference today? No? Oh my God, you missed some amazing TV. And I was watching. I was watching on like Facebook Live or whatever. You can watch it online. It was during lunch. It was at noon. I was watching it in my lunch. Anyway, so he was doing it, and he would bounce on to certain things. He would hit a topic, and then he would get distracted talking about something else. And that is really a big part of why people really like him, is because he is relatable. When he's making his whole thing was, I'm an outsider. I lived a normal life. All these senators, all these other people have not lived normal lives. People like that. You people who voted for Trump voted not for a Republican. They voted for Donald. They like what he did with his business. They bought into the individual, and that's peripheral to a T. You're not buying into his work or what he's done. You're buying into his personality. A lot of people like it. It's definitely an outsider perspective. He's definitely doing a lot of things differently than anyone else has done, which both pros and cons. Okay, so we'll see that as more peripheral. He does go on. Okay, so cognitive dissonance. Okay, cognitive dissonance is the next big thing. Cognitive dissonance, I absolutely hate it, and it makes me want to punch myself in the face. Because you guys just don't get it, and to be honest, it took a couple times for me to get it. Because it's just so weird, and the original experiment is awful. So, cognitive dissonance is a sense of discomfort or distress that occurs when a person's behavior does not correspond to that person's impression forming the first knowledge that the person has concerning another person. What the hell does that mean? Okay? What it means is, okay, when we don't like something, but we have to like something, or we are forced into something, we change the way we think about it in order to make it easier for ourselves. Okay? At the end of the day, do we want to live with stress inside of our head all day? Do we like that ball of anxiety that we get from stress? No one likes it. No one likes it. Okay? So because of that, we change the way we think about things, and that's cognitive dissonance. Is when we change our opinion in order to make it easier for ourselves.
Just like looking on the bright side.
To a degree. Like, think about your first crush, Lee. You don't have to say their name. Whoever it was. Think back to that person. Think about how much you adored that person. Okay, and they probably broke your heart, didn't they?
I was 3.
You were 3 years old?
His name is Michael Crayon. Turns out his last name is not Crayon. I remember.
You like Google him or something?
No. Then he played tennis with me, and I was like, whoa.
Yes, that whoa part. And then you're like, oh my God, thank God I was 3 and I really didn't care about that person. Lee was a terrible example. I knew I shouldn't have gone with Lee. I knew in my head. Lee is never the solid example. Entertaining, but never the solid example. Okay, so the quintessential example is the original experiment is when we. I just hate cognitive dissonance so much. Okay, in the original experiment, it's a chick goes and she gets, for an hour, she sits and turns knobs. She turns knobs a quarter of the way for an hour. She turns it from here to here and does this for an hour over and over again. And she gets paid like $5 an hour to do it. And she does it for an hour. Then after the experiment, they asked her what she thought about it. And she was like, this was kind of boring. Trying to be like polite, you know? She was like, this is boring. Okay? This is boring. No, like, it was not what I was expecting. Then the lady's like, okay, well, yeah, it was boring. Okay? But, you know, we really need someone to introduce this experiment for other people. Would you introduce to the next person this experiment and just explain how it works? We'll pay you an additional, we won't pay you, but would you do it? So the girl agrees to talk about it. When she talks about it, she's actually pretty positive. It's not that exciting, but, it's really not that bad. You're just sitting there, you're just turning knobs, and time goes by really quickly, and, I kind of enjoyed it. It was kind of fun. Okay? So when she immediately comes out of the experiment, she's bored out of her damn mind. Okay? When they ask her to talk to other people, she changes her tone because she has to talk in front of other people, and she comes back multiple times to do it, and she turns into being very positive. Okay? Now, they have a boy come, and the boy does it. Okay? The boy comes, and he does it for an hour, and he comes out, and he's like, oh my God, that was so boring. Okay? Then they're like, hey, we need someone to come back and explain this experiment. Would you do it for $20 every time you talk to someone? And the kid's like, oh, hell yes, I will. And so when the people come back, okay, he is super false. And he's like, it's incredibly boring, but you'll be fine. Not persuasive. Does not think it was a good thing at all. Now, what is cognitive dissonance? What it is that this girl is getting absolutely zero reinforcement to come back and be positive about it. But if you're going to talk about the experiment all the time, okay, you change your tone to make it easier to kind of talk about. Does that make sense? Okay, think about it. Every time you've had like a bad experience, like for instance, I went to a Cheddar's once. Have you ever been to Cheddar's? It's like a restaurant, and it was like the worst experience of my life. Literally, I almost wrote a letter to corporate about how bad my service was, and I'm a server. Okay, that's how horrible it was. Okay, I was raging. Now when I look back on it, I'm like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It's kind of like a coping thing, and it's also like, I do kind of like Cheddar's. I mean, I've been there twice, but it wasn't the worst experience. Like, one was the worst experience, the second one wasn't that bad, so I'm kind of like, it really wasn't that bad. Okay? It makes it easier for me to go to Cheddar's. So I changed my opinion in order to make it easier for me to agree with it. Everyone kind of grasps it. It's a really crappy concept. It's really
I don't
boring.
get the experiment. Like every time you think of like, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad.
That's like whatever you think about.
Yeah. Like for instance, I saw La La Land. When I walked out of that damn movie, I was like, oh my God, this movie's awful. Like, oh my God, I can't get those 2 hours back. Okay? Now, after the Golden Globes and was winning all these awards, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad I saw it. I would say I'm a fan of it. I still think they can't sing. And it's a musical. So that's cognitive dissonance, is when you're trying to change your opinion, not because you're gaining anything of it, but because it makes it easier to kind of deal with it. Yes?
So not like, okay, let's say something really embarrassing happens to you and someone brings it up and you're like, oh, it's not that
It's not that big of a deal. Absolutely. Because you don't want to really feel that horrible pain inside the day, everyone saw your really old underwear, in gym class. And you're like, oh my God, I can't live with that anymore, Or the day you wore a turtleneck to school. Jeez. You just kind of like, oh my God, a turtleneck's not that bad. I'm just kidding. There you go. So cognitive dissonance, you'll be absolutely fine for tomorrow. Alright, so social cognition is the mental process that people use to make sense of the social world around them. Okay, each of us have a different level of social cognition. I am very dumb when it comes to social cognition. I am so awkward. It's awful. One of Toledo's favorite things to do is watch me be awkward. And I hit the mark every time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just not very good at small talk. I'm not very good once I get through my normal questions, 3 questions, I'm just shocked. And if it's an unexpected conversation, I have no idea what I'm going to say. It's like I black out and just go, ah. I have no idea what I'm saying. Okay? Now, when we deal with social cognition or interactions with others, the most important thing that we have is impression formation. It's the forming of the first knowledge of a person has about another person. Okay? Every single one of you has been introduced to someone else. Okay, like for instance, there's a girl named Mo who's my arch nemesis. I hate her. Not Mo who goes here. No, I don't have a high schooler who's my arch nemesis. If that was my life is sad and pathetic. That as a grown woman, I have an arch nemesis as a high schooler. That is just so sad. No, she is older than me. She works at Target. She's my husband's best friend's wife, and she's horrific. She's my nemesis. She's just awful. Okay? If I was like, oh my god, so Mo is coming tomorrow to watch me teach, be nice. Everything she says, you're going to be hypercritical of, correct? Because you see me as a pretty go-lucky person. I literally hate this woman with every fiber of my being. And my husband says horrible things about her too, so it's not just me. And Toledo's met her a bunch of times, and she really is less awful. Like, she's a terrible human being. She's everything terrible about women.
Oh man.
Yeah. She's awful.
How does she feel about you?
I bet she feels the same exact way. Absolutely. That woman hates me as much, but she's just better at putting on this face of like, haha, and then she says really terrible things. I just sit there and go, I don't say anything, but like, I'm not warm and comforting, but that's not who I am either. Anyway, I hate her. So if she came in this room, would you give the girl a shot? No. You'd be so much of a hater, and I'd be like, my kid's got my back, my kid's got my back, my kid's got my, and it would be great, and I'd be so happy. I'm gonna murder her because I was so happy. Okay? That is impression formation. It has happened to every single one of you. If you see you got a teacher on your list, and everyone's like, oh my god, they're the worst teacher ever, you walk in, you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be awful, and then you just hate that person from the moment it starts. When really, you know, you should have been nicer. That is impression formation. Primacy effect is the very first impression one has about a person tends to persist. So, if your first day was a rough day for Miss Bennett, which I do have, I don't know if you've noticed, by 7th period I usually kind of even out. In the morning, if I'm having a crazy day, they all know. And it's so funny. My AP World kids talk to each other like, oh my god, Miss Bennett's having a terrible day. Don't piss her off. It's so cute. They all know. They're like, oh, Miss Bennett, we heard you're having a bad day today. I was like, yeah, damn right I am. Okay? With that being said, if my first day with you was a bad day, like a bad day, like, for instance, I had a kid start his first day with a kid cheating in my room. Oh. So, that primacy effect is that woman is crazy. That's that kid's effect. And that idea that I have lost my mind, that I am completely mentally unstable because I go unhinged, that's the only thing he's going to think of me. Even though I'm a pretty rational human being for the most part, he's only going to think like, oh my god, she must eat children. That was my first day I met them, and this is what she does. She must eat children in her free time. It's how it has to happen. Okay? So social categorization. It's easier to think of things when we break them down. Does that make sense? To think of people as a whole as all of Plant High School. That's a lot of different groups, people, and all that stuff into one big concept. Can we agree? So in order to do that, we break people down, and we break them down by stereotypes. Now please keep in mind, stereotypes, not all stereotypes, but all stereotypes have a purpose. Okay? As in to identify us faster, to simplify complicated issues. Okay? Stereotypes aren't good, but they do serve a purpose. Can we agree? They're wrong. However, they do allow us to simplify. So a stereotype is a set of characteristics that people believe are shared by all members of society. So, I am blonde. I'm a little dirtier than I used to be, but still got some blonde in there. Okay? What is some stereotypes about me? That I'm dumb. That I don't know how to tie my shoes. How is that a thing? Someone said blondes can't tie their shoes. I think I learned just the same, but that's fine. I'm blonde. I'm a complete bimbo, and that all I want is a husband. Now, knowing me, would you say that's me? What are you talking about? Just kidding. Okay. So stereotypes. Every single one of you falls into a stereotype, correct? What are some stereotypes you've heard about yourself? Your gender, your culture, your ethnicity. What have you heard?
Money.
White girl. We can't dance. Which this is as good as it gets, girl. Okay. What else? What else are some stereotypes?
White people can't run.
White people can't run. That's fast. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one. What's another one?
Jews like money.
Jews like money. I like money though.
I have money too, so I'm not offended by it.
That's okay. That's okay. What else is another one? What have we got? You haven't heard any stereotypes? Oh my god.
Women wide.
Women what?
Wide.
Wide?
Wine.
Wine. Okay. I'm like, wine?
It's so great.
I know. You were like straight up struggling. Okay, women are just whiners and all we want is money, all those different types of things. Those are stereotypes. Implicit personality theory are a set of assumptions about how different types of people, personality traits, and actions are related to each other. Okay? When we talk about implicit personality, is that we assume. So, have you ever had a server come to your table and like completely frantic? They're like, "Oh my god, hi, my name's Sam. What can I get for you for a drink?" And you're like, "Okay, I'll have a Coke Zero, I'll have a Diet Coke, and can I have a Sprite?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll be right back." And then I go, and then it takes a little bit too long to get back. And you're like, "Oh my god, why is this server like the worst server? Why is she so stupid that she can't even get drinks?" When, in fact, the table on the other side of the wall that you can't see is losing their mind. And that they are making you cut this massive cake and do all these different things. And the hostess is a complete moron who sat 4 people in your section because she can't read a map. Okay? And then you decide, because you're one experience, that, oh my god, this woman is such an idiot. Like, what a moron. She obviously isn't going to be working here that long. She can't even take care of one table. When you have no idea. That's implicit personality theory. Is that we see one characteristic and we assume that it has to be correct in all aspects. When maybe, if you sat 15 minutes later, like the hostess should have, then everything would be perfect. And you would have perfect service, and you'd be like, oh my god, that server is so smart. But because of the situation, and the situation that you met that person, you think their life is completely chaos. Have you ever met someone that was in a really dark point of their life, and you're like, oh my god, that's too dark for me. And then you met them like a couple of months, seen them again a couple of months later, and you're like, oh my god, we can be best friends now. That is implicit personality. We assume they're all related. That situations cause relations. Schemas. There's just so much, and I'm really trying. Okay, fundamental attribution error is on your test, and I do want to cover that one. Okay, so fundamental attribution error is when we overestimate internal factors. Okay? So, say for instance that hello.
Goodbye.
Oh, yeah. It's in the box for 21. So after week 20.